It takes just 10 seconds for a recruiter to decide whether or not they will shortlist your CV, and so much of that process is decided upon the layout and style of your CV. When I was searching for my most recent role, I had 4, 5, 6 interviews per week, which I attributed down to me perfecting my CV. I spent so much time researching the best methods, the best template, and the most relevant content to put on my CV with hopes of impressing the employer that was looking at it. In the UK, the average amount of applicants per job role is 54, and usually the recruiter will only shortlist 3 or 4 out of those 54 to go on to interview stages. Now, add in factors like quick apply on LinkedIn, easy apply on Indeed. You'll see most job roles, especially in marketing and tech and sales related fields, get hundreds of applicants. So first impressions is ultimately the most important thing to land you these interviews. Now, the template I use is a bit off the grain. It's actually the investment banking CV template recommended on mergersandacquisitions.com. Now, I work in marketing. This is a marketing based channel. Why am I using an investment banking template? And it's because it hits the 3 key areas of what I think makes a CV successful. Number 1, it prioritizes work experience over education. Unfortunately for most people, the roles that they are applying to are being applied to by hundreds of other people who have the exact same qualification as them. And what the CV does best is it highlights education, and it gives you space to actually talk about your successes and how you overcame certain pain points. But the bigger, bulkier section of the template and what was really stand out is the work experience section. And unfortunately, we've been sold a bit of a false reality in thinking you can go to university, get your degree, and you're guaranteed a job in that field. But the reality is that companies are still looking for people with hands-on experience who can come in and do a job. So highlighting and talking in depth but clearly about the work experience you have garnered throughout university or any other part-time or even freelance position you held has the room to be detailed quite extensively inside of this template, and to give the recruiter a better picture of how you are best fit for that position. The second main point about the CV template, which I think makes it really strong, is it limits the fluff. The skills and hobbies section at the bottom is very minimal. It should be kept minimal, and the template itself is just 1 page long. Now, if I showed you my CV right now, it'd be closer to 2.5 pages long, simply because, again, few years out of university age, I have moved jobs a little bit, I have had more experience to talk about, hence why it's a bit longer. But remember, we're talking about junior positions straight out of university, and if you have a CV 4 or 5 pages long that is filled with your interests and hobbies and trying to build a persona around yourself, which sounds good on paper, ultimately a recruiter does not care about that sort of stuff. They are looking for fine details about your work experience and your education that proves you would be a good fit for that role. Unfortunately, most recruiters don't care that you like playing chess or hockey on the weekend. And we're not just talking about text, we're talking about any sort of picture, any sort of imagery. Some people may think this is boring, I slightly agree. But again, we have to put ourselves in the position of the recruiter. They're sitting through possibly hundreds of job applications. If something's flashing on screen, bright colours, profile picture, a lot of fluff, a lot of not needed information, they're more likely to skip it over a CV that has cold hard facts of why they would be a good fit. Again, going back to the fact of where recruiters spend about 10 seconds making their final judgment on a CV. 5 of those 10 seconds shouldn't be looking at your profile picture. Now, the third thing is not specifically in this template, but something I added. It's something that I just call a function section. This is more suitable for positions that have some sort of technical need. All this function section is set out to do is to dive a bit deeper into your skill sets and give tangible examples of how you as an individual was able to take a problem, analyze it, sit down with it and work with it, and ultimately come out with a better outcome. For example, I have a leadership section in my CV because ultimately I'm targeting senior management roles in the future, etc. My next job application to whatever company it will be for a senior management role. I have one point in the function section of my CV regarding the university that I went to, where I co-led a team through a rigorous 2-month global competition surrounding business and marketing. It serves as a bit extra. It's not really something that can be added as a job role, and it's too small to put in the skills, hobbies, activities or project section that you would have right at the bottom, but it's still a notable achievement that deserves its own place. And maybe this might be something like proficiency in Excel. Let's say you're a game developer, you're applying for game development roles. You can't really put in the work experience of your CV that you came first place in this game development competition. Even though it's super prestigious and people in the industry respect you for it, it's still not a job. But that is a perfect example of something that can go in this function section that is relevant to the jobs you are applying for, but highlights your expertise within this industry from an external project. So that is an extension on the template I would look to make, especially if you are applying for junior roles or you don't have much official work experience. Have a look at any external projects you've done, evaluate the outcome, see if it's relevant to the job you are applying for, and write about it a little bit. One thing that I think is so important, and in my current role as marketing manager, we're currently hiring a junior creative at my company at the minute. I've looked over and analysed over 50 resumes, and the people who don't include this specific thing usually get a pass from me personally. And that one thing is a personal portfolio. If we use the example that I'm currently working with in real life, i.e. the junior creative, I'm not expecting someone to have 3 or 4 years working in some marketing firm, building creative projects and working on campaigns and all that. I'm just not expecting that. But what I am looking for is some tangible evidence that this person can work with the Adobe suite, can work with things like Blender, does have an idea of building creative structures and creating work that ultimately looks very good. And there's no way of showing that off inside a CV, so include a link very top of your CV to a personal portfolio where you can customize it to your liking and start to upload every single external project that you've worked on. It doesn't matter if it's some school project, it doesn't matter if it's a larger campaign that you did as a freelancer. Everything works together to build a profile around you, and I can tell you for a fact there's people that I've put on the shortlist for this junior creative role solely based on their portfolio. Now what if you're working in a non-creative role, for example, you don't have any work to show off? You can still include a personal portfolio where you're writing about said certain thing. Expertise doesn't come in just visual form. You can write articles, you can write blog posts, you could guest blog posts on different websites and include that content on your portfolio. I know as a marketing manager, I'm more likely to pick someone who has visible content to actually prove that they know what they're talking about over someone who can just say that they're doing it in their CV. So I'll leave a link to that template down in the description below. I hope it serves you guys well. I've been using this template since I was 16, 17. I think it's one of the key reasons alongside my personal portfolio of where I've been able to get so many interviews in such a short space of time, and ultimately which has led me to the position of marketing manager that I'm at now. But I think you guys can really benefit from trimming down all the excess fat and stuff you don't need and really focusing on cold hard facts and using external sources to boost your profile and give you a better shot at landing those interviews. So that's going to be the end of the video. If you did find some value, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel below. I'm more than happy to help answer questions in the comments, etc. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys stay safe. See you in a bit.